From Boca Raton, Florida. This is Juan Catamayo for you, JCT for Education, and today we have a very special guest, and he's actually here in the state of Florida. Let's wait for a second for him to join us. Checking technology. Much better, much better. Let me say hi to Christian Safi, Maria Cristina. I'm waiting for our guest right here, and we. In a second, who is coming here today? Monday. Happy Monday, everyone. And here he is, Mr. Ed Bustos. Hey, hola.
Hello, hello, hola.
¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien, muy bien. Very good. It was
Very
a good
good.
Monday.
So look what I have today here, Rollins
Perfect.
College. Thank you. This was given to
Perfect.
us during the CIS Latin America Institute at Rollins. So thank you so much for inviting us last year. It was an amazing experience.
Here, and I'll share really quickly a T-shirt that I have.
Ooh, Fox Day. I love
We'll
that.
talk about Fox Day during this interview.
We'll do it. We'll do it. So, Ed, thank you so much. I know it's a busy time for everyone, particularly in admissions. Mr. Ed Bustos here, Director of International Admissions at Rollins College in Winter Park, Orlando. I have had the honor to travel with Ed to the Middle East, Latin America, back in the day when I was working at Lynn University. And thank you so much for coming today. This is our space, this is your space, and we will go over a lot of questions and giving a conversation and perspective of what's going on, okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, Ed, so first of all, you went to Rollins College. You graduated in 1998, Bachelor's of Latin American Studies and Caribbean Studies. I noticed that you're from Colombia, New York, Central Florida. Explain a little bit of everything and how did you decide to attend Rollins back then?
So thank you, and thank you to everyone that's listening out there. Well, first, I was born in New York.
Okay.
And I lived there until the age of 5. So I was there
Okay.
until the age of 5, and then my parents, I have an older brother, and then my parents decided like New York was getting a little bit dangerous, so my parents decided like let's move to Colombia.
Okay.
Let's go. That's where we're from. Let's show our kids where we're from.
Okay.
So we moved to Colombia. So I lived there from 1980 to like 86 years or so. And then Colombia during that time, if some of you might know some history of Colombia and so forth, it was getting a little bit dangerous. So my parents said, you know what, let's move back to the United States.
Yes.
And so that's what we did, and we picked Central Florida. And the reason we picked Central Florida was that before we went to Colombia, we actually came to Walt Disney World. So we did the Disney vacation, and then we went to Colombia. So we decided to come to Central Florida instead of going to New York. So those have been my 3 homes, and I've actually lived somewhere else. And I lived in Merida, in Yucatan.
Okay.
Actually, when I was a student at Rollins, I did study abroad in Merida, Yucatan. So Mexico has a very special place for me in my heart.
Okay, thank you. For all of you that are joining right now, we are here with Ed Bustos, Director of International Admissions at today. For those of you watching, let your friends know that we're live, and you see that little plane down below where you see a question mark. Just tell your friends that we're here with the decision maker. And by the way, please send our regards to Brandy and everybody in admissions at Rollins.
Absolutely.
So you went to high school in Central Florida, Orlando, correct?
Yes, I went to Lake Howell High School, home of the Silver. To go to Rollins, and I think I tell students this. You know, I think a lot of students out there always have an impression of this is my dream school. And that's what I had. And I'm not going to mention my dream school that I had at that moment when I was young. But it was from about 4 hours away from here. So my parents and we drove 4 hours to go visit the school.
Northwest.
I'm going to go say north.
Okay.
And I'm not going to give you any more information.
No problem.
But we drove, and while we were driving and we got into the city and so forth, I was like, this is not the city for me. We got to campus and I'm like, nope, this is not the place for me. And it was funny. My dad said, I was like, Dad, we can go home now. We hadn't even got out of the car yet. And I was like, we
Okay.
can go home. And he goes, no, we need to do the tour because I have to use the bathroom. I'm like, okay. And but it was that feeling that I just knew it wasn't the right place.
Okay.
And funny story, and I won't recommend this to your students, and I'm pretty sure counselors wouldn't recommend this. I Rollins was 20 minutes away from my house, and I had
Okay.
just driven by it all the time. I had driven by it
Okay.
all the time. I had never physically done a tour. I walked on campus and so forth, but my official first day at Rollins was orientation. But it was the
Okay.
perfect place for me. I just knew
Okay.
about it. But I would tell people definitely come visit campuses, especially when they open and so forth.
Okay. Good. We have Carolina Jaramillo. We have people from Madrid, Colombia, Honduras, Guatemala, Chile. A lot of people watching Venezuela. So that's thank you for letting us know. When you were in high school, were you doing APs, taking APs?
I took a couple APs here and there. Yeah, that was a long
Okay.
time ago.
That was a long time ago. But you'd be surprised. I've been asking that question to admission counselors, and some have told me the number of APs and so forth. No, we haven't been able to get SAT scores, but that's fine. So you graduated in 1998 from Rollins, and then you went ahead and start the dream. You went to work. Is that when you moved to start working for a travel agency?
Yeah, so I graduated. I actually graduated in 3.5 years. And so,
Okay.
once again, here's some advice to some of your listeners or students. Like, take as long as you can. Do the 4 years. Don't rush it because you're going to be working the rest of your life. And I always
Yes.
tell students, my little nephew that he's in sixth grade, he was like, I'm going to graduate from high school early so I can start college. I'm like, no, enjoy your high school career, enjoy your college career. So, if I would go back, I would definitely do that last semester of college, but
Mm-hmm.
I had enough credit. I had taken classes early, and I probably did it for financial reasons as well. So
Yes.
maybe that was, and there's some reasons that yes, you can graduate early and so forth. But if you can do the 4 years, but yeah, right after I graduated from Rollins, while I was at Rollins, I picked up the travel bug. The
Okay.
travel bug. So when a study abroad's a huge thing at Rollins,
Yes.
it's always been that way. But when I was a student, I went a semester abroad to Merida, Yucatan,
Mm-hmm.
and I lived in Mexico. Loved Merida, Yucatan. It's like 4 hours away from Cancun. So if you know some geography, but
Mm-hmm.
beautiful area. But I also we have what we call field studies, and those field studies I took introduced me to Belize,
Yes.
Honduras, and Guatemala. And then I did one more that took me to Mexico City. So I had picked up the travel bug. So I actually started working for a travel company.
Okay.
And I started working in telemarketing. And I think sometimes people are like, why did you start in telemarketing? I'm like, it was a small company, entrepreneurs. The owners knew me. Back then I used to work at Banana Republic. And obviously that was on my resume. And one of the managers, owners of the company came to the Banana Republic to talk to me and recruit me after my interview. So I was
Wow.
like, wow, like the owner of this company came to recruit me. Obviously, he bought some clothes from me that day too. Um, but it was awesome that I was like, wow, what an opportunity that I'm going to work with these two young entrepreneurs. And I grew within the company. My last job was pretty exciting. I was actually a sales trainer. So my
Yes.
classroom was actually working on a cruise ship. I worked on a cruise ship
Wow.
every other month, teaching travel agents on how to become better travel agents. So it was
Oh my
actually pretty
gosh.
fun. That was pretty fun.
So you've been a traveler all your life. You moved from New York to Colombia, back to Yucatan, then you went to Central Florida, the capital of the world for tourism, Disney World, and here you are working for a travel agency. But then you decided to go back to Rollins. Tell us that story.
So that story is actually pretty interesting because September 11th happened.
Yes.
So the travel industry took a big, big hit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, and actually, you probably know this person, and maybe some of your audience, if they're counselors, know this person, Vanessa Garay, that
Yes. Yes.
actually worked at Rollins, and we went to school together. she
Mm-hmm.
called me because she was going to do a master's in Spain. So she was looking for someone to cover her for 1 year. The office had given her permission to go do her master's in Spain. So they were looking for someone to cover for her for 1 year. I was actually working on my MBA.
Uh-huh.
So what they recruited me. I worked there for a year. They actually paid for my MBA, which was a great.
At
So
Rollins.
I only paid for 1 year of my MBA
Wow.
because Rollins paid for the other. And
Yes.
but Vanessa decided not to come back. So I
Wow.
started working in admission back in 2002. So it's kind of interesting story how I got involved. I was never a tour guide on campus or anything like that, but it's been kind of part of my career. I did take a little sabbatical.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. And for those of you, Jorge Delgado is watching right now. He's giving you a hard time right here on Instagram Live. It's your turn. And he's gonna be live with us on Wednesday, and
Oh,
tomorrow will be
perfect.
so it will be an opportunity for you to get back to him. But just deeping in, I met Ed probably in 2002 when he was at Rollins. I was at Lincoln University. We both were young rookie. We were traveling the world. I remember our trip to the Middle East. That was phenomenal with Jorge from University of Tampa. But you guys have done an amazing job with international recruitment. You are an institution for the last 18 years. You've been recruiting around the world, not only Latin America, but the Middle East, Europe. You've been all over. And when we think Rollins, we think you, we think Brandy, and you guys have done an amazing job. So for the students that are watching right now, when we transitioned from college and we went to work for our alma maters, absolutely amazing. I don't know, and you can tell us more about, but when I was offered a job at Lincoln University, who can pay you to travel all over the world and just to be at the most beautiful places and meeting the most amazing students from all over? So tell us, how did you make that decision to make this a career? This is now an 18-year career for you.
Yeah, pretty much. So don't age me, but yeah. But it's like you said, it's so much fun going around the world and representing your own institution. I think counselors have said when I'm doing my presentation and they're like, Ed, when you talk about Rollins, you could hear the enthusiasm and you really mean what you're saying, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So because then I truly believe in my education that I got on Rollins and the things that we're doing, and especially the commitment to international students. And it's in our mission statement: global citizenship and responsible leadership. And our president and the rest of the administration says, without international students, that part of that global citizenship experience would not be there, because we all these students from all the different parts of the world, and helping others learn about different cultures and parts of the world.
Yeah, and you have been very involved in 2018. Rollins recognized your hard work, and I totally agree with the committee who was searching for candidates, and you won. And correct me if I'm wrong, the ambassador for global citizenship at Rollins, and they picked one person from the whole community, and the person was you. And I'm so proud. And I was reading that $500 were donated to your favorite charity. Which was that charity? Can you remember
So
the
my
name of the
charity,
charity?
and I think, yeah, and I think I tell students and I tell individuals, I think you have to be involved in your community, and I've been very active in my community. So the organization that I gave the $500 to was a gift for teaching. So it kind of went
Okay.
back to education. It went right back to
Yes.
education. And it's a nonprofit that we know school supplies are very important for kids' futures, and some individuals can't afford school supplies. And we know teachers out there go and buy school supplies for their kids. So we actually
Yes.
have a freestanding store where teachers go shopping and we don't charge them anything. So teachers can go once a month to go shopping, up to like almost $450 worth of supplies, and
Yes.
then they can take it back to the classroom because they obviously know which organization, what kids need the supplies the most. So
Well,
that's the
thank you.
organization that I donated my that Rollins wrote a check to. So, but it was a great honor. I was not expecting it at all.
No, that was amazing. When I read that about you, Jorge is saying you're a rock star, and yes, you are a rock star. You also serve the Council of International Schools, the Committee for Latin America, led several tours. You were on the committee for 8 years. So for those of you watching, besides her job as Director of International Missions, traveling all over the world, Ed volunteered to lead tours in Latin America, and those are not easy. I mean, you have the Colombian tour, you have the Latin American tour, and it's like another full-time job, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Absolutely. And then once in a while you have to chair. And then Jorge can also talk about it because I think he just finished leading his tour. So I'm pretty sure he'll mention it and he knows the importance of leading those tours. But it's actually really fun. You know, I think part of having young individuals join the tour, like that involvement, you're mentoring students. And I know one of the individuals that I've become really good friends with was Tim Neal from University of Swanee.
Okay.
University of Swanee of the South. And I've become really good and almost like a mentor. And we share ideas. And like when you're on the bus talking to these individuals, you're learning what other institutions are learning and what different countries are learning. So it's very beneficial. I think you form some great friendships.
Absolutely, and that's why you're here because we are the result of a long time friendship throughout the years, and thank you. So now let's deep into our conversation, and part of the title is updates from Rollins, updates from Orlando. Today, after almost 60 days at home, actually today is day 60 for me. I had to go to Miami, and I went to Miami for the day, and the highway was semi full.
Okay.
It was a nice drive. Actually, I was surprised, but the restaurants were closed. Actually, I had lunch, but I have to call, pick up my order. They will bring me the food. How are things in Orlando right now? Because it's so different Orlando to Boca Raton and Miami.
Well, yeah, you know, I think it all, for me, it was just all eye opening because I was actually on a tour traveling when everything kind of started closing down on us. And I think we were in Argentina, in Buenos Aires,
Hmm.
and it was almost kind of stuck. And I landed that Friday, March 13th. And that's the day Rollins technically closed for students. Students were going
Wow.
on spring break. So I actually didn't even get to say goodbye to students because obviously with all my travels, I had started traveling in the Dominican Republic. And then I went to Brazil, Paraguay, Argentina. And so
Hmm.
obviously I had been exposed to a lot of planes and everything. And so I decided to self quarantine. I actually lived in my bedroom for
Wow.
14 days. I didn't leave.
Wow.
My parents lived close by. My roommate would put food outside my door and things like that. I just
Wow.
wanted to play it safe.
Yes.
So things started to close down pretty quickly after that, not just Rollins. I mean, obviously, you mentioned earlier we are the tourist capital of the world. So Walt Disney World, when Disney closes, you know things
Yes.
get serious because
Absolutely.
Disney never closes.
Never, ever.
Uh, so when Disney closes and Universal Studios closes, you know things got really serious. So right now we're actually in phase one of
Yes.
reopening. Um,
Okay.
so right now I have seen a couple different more activity. Actually, like you said, Juan Camilo, with cars. One of the days I actually needed to get out of my house and I went and worked at the office and I felt super productive.
Yes.
But restaurants opened last week, only
Wow.
25% capacity
Okay.
inside. If they have tables, they can stay the tables outside. If they have seating area, they can space them out, social distancing. So, and
Okay.
also some of the malls are opening or they actually have
Wow.
opened. So we're starting to see some activity open. Rollins
Okay.
obviously still remains closed. They want us to still work from home. We
Yes.
will start doing some tours. So this is exciting news. We will actually start doing some tours for
Okay.
our deposited students and
Really?
and admitted students because sometimes maybe some admitted students probably would still want to see a campus.
Okay.
We did extend our deadline to June 15th. Uh,
Okay. Thank you.
so so we're actually going to target first the individuals in Florida to see if they
Okay.
want to come visit us. And then hopefully in July we can start opening it up to more. But if you're one of those accepted students and you really want to visit campus, you can definitely call us and see what we can do for you.
So you're breaking news. Pretty much I've been asking this question last week, and I'm happy to hear that. So I'm sure that you're gonna be taking all the precautions. We should invite you back to see how the campus tour experience goes. And but you haven't heard when you guys are moving back to campus. Have they said anything yet or no?
So I will say I'm very proud of Rollins right now because
Okay.
with the whole when we saw coronavirus start kind of like in December, we formed a task force in January, and I think
Okay.
we're used to. I think maybe Florida schools or universities, we have the thing called hurricanes. So I think
Oh,
we
yeah.
so we are prepared when maybe campuses have to close and things like that. So this task force started in January.
Okay.
So the task force was meeting kind of like every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, and then obviously right when it started and they decided to close the campus, they were meeting pretty much on a daily basis to see what was going on with Florida, the county, and the federal government. So right now, this task force is meeting, and there's a couple different task force on campus.
Okay.
They're making some recommendation. Last week was the Board of Trustees meeting, so tomorrow we're actually having a town hall with the president. So I think we're going to get some updates at that point, and I think we'll find out exactly when we open.
Okay.
I know as an institution, I would say Rollins, we did a very good job, I would say, online. We were
Okay.
using the platform WebEx. But I think it was easier for our current students too, because they had class for 6 weeks and then they had 6 weeks on WebEx, and they knew their classmates, they knew their professors well, and it worked okay. Would we want to go back to that? I don't think so. I think
Okay.
Rollins is known for that personal attention, that collaboration. And so we are more of an on campus. We need to be on campus to make it a true Rollins. I think
Okay.
our last resort would be to go online. That's definitely.
Okay.
I think that would be very difficult for new students, especially for
Okay.
new students to go online. So our goal,
Okay.
we usually start in August.
Uh-huh.
We are hearing that we will be pushing the semester back, but we don't know exactly when. Hopefully,
Okay.
I will get that answer in the next couple of days.
And for those of you who are watching, I've been following most universities on LinkedIn. Your president, President Cornwell, has done a phenomenal job sending messages to the community. And I just realized, congratulations, you have commencement this weekend. It was a virtual commencement, a 492 from the College of Liberal Arts just graduated. How was that experience, online commencement? And are you guys going to have a physical commencement for the students?
Yeah, I mean, online commencement, I've been there. I welcome the students, all the international students and U.S. citizens from abroad. I
Yes.
follow them. Brandy and I follow them all 4 years. And then we're there to say goodbye. I
Mm-hmm.
think 1 year I missed graduation because I was traveling. The students and
Yes.
families wanted to kill me. So I said never again would I miss it.
Yeah,
Um,
never.
so virtual was a little bit different. I mean, honestly, I have to say it was obviously I think the students and families wanted a physical on campus because that's kind of like your last time to say goodbye. But I felt
Okay.
like they did a really good job. Every person's name got called and their photo popped up, and every student was able to put a quote,
Okay.
which was great. So it was very personalized. So I think the students had enough time if they wanted to take a selfie with their screenshot and so forth. So I felt we did a very good job.
Okay.
Yes, we will have, that's the goal, we will have a physical graduation for the class of 2020. That has not been announced when, but we owe it to them, and we hope that we can do it for sure.
Okay. Well, to all of those graduates, congratulations. Has been high school graduation, college graduation. I have seen a lot of videos on Instagram, on Facebook of families just on caravans going through, honking and things like that. That's the spirit. And for sure, this is unprecedented for all of us. We never lived something like this. So we're just learning from the best we can do at the moment. So congratulations to all the school and college graduates. Now,
So,
today,
Juan Camilo, just really quick, I need to give a quick shout out because I'm very proud, and I know Brandy is also very proud.
go
We
ahead.
had 6 valedictorians, and
Wow.
one of them was one of our international students from Honduras. So we were very, very
Ah,
proud of Silvana. So Silvana, if you're listening, congratulations again.
felicitaciones. ¿De qué colegio, Silvana? What high school?
De Macris,
Macris. Wow,
en
congratulations.
Tegucigalpa.
Vamos, Tegucigalpa. Beautiful. Thank you so much for saying that. Now, today we have a new president, NACAC, National Association for College Admission Counselors. Mr. Angel, was on Inside Higher Education. And it seems like for you, for myself, for everybody involved in education, our summers are going to be really busy. A lot of colleges and universities are having tough times forecasting, modeling, prediction, enrollment. What have you heard? Are you guys right now? How are you doing in that? Because the borders are closed. I just heard Argentina will open September 1st for international travel. So we don't know yet. We're on phase one and we're opening, and it's scary because there is no cure yet and so forth. What are the predictions for fall enrollment in general, if you can share that?
You know, like I always tell, I've been doing this since 2002, except for those 2 years I was on, I guess you could say sabbatical, but it's admission is there's admission math, you know, and like,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like you hope you get it right. And
Yes.
obviously this year we've never experienced anything like this ever. You know, I mean,
Okay.
so it's been tough. I would probably say from a lot of my other colleagues from other schools, it hasn't been an easy year. And we probably understand as well. I mean, especially working internationally, some parents don't feel, I mean, we see how the US sometimes is handling the situation, and some parents are nervous, and that's
Yes.
completely understandable. So I mean, and I think that was good in our part that we know we're going to be pushing the semester back, so that gives us more time to figure things out and give
Mm-hmm.
reassurance. Also more time for people to hopefully get their student visas if they need their student
Yes.
visas as well, because I think that's
Mm-hmm.
one of the most nerve-wracking things. I'm like, our students can't just come in because they, especially new students, our current students have a student visa. We just need
Yes.
to, hopefully there will be flights coming to the US so they can start classes in person. So
Okay.
it has, I agree with Angel, it has been a tough year. I think admission's not done yet. I think some of us would always say May 1st and we're done and we can relax a little bit. I don't think that
Yes.
is the case this year. I think we're going to be, all of us, or definitely most of us, will be definitely working all the way through the first day of classes.
Of course. And so that means for students that want to transfer, you guys are open pretty much rolling admissions for transfer students as well.
Yeah, I mean, right now we're still taking our transfer admission. Usually is a little bit longer. I mean, and we still actually have room for first year students. And one of the things that we're hearing is that maybe some families don't want to send their students far away. So maybe the
Yes.
local universities might see an increase, or might students might call us and say, "Hey, are you still taking applications?" Because maybe they want to,
Correct.
like, you know what, let me just start here and then maybe transfer. But the goal for
Mm-hmm.
us would be hopefully they fall in love with us, because sometimes local students don't want to, like, ah, you're too close. I've been here. My parents are going to be able to follow me and things like that. But that's not the case. Once they experience, they'll love it for sure.
Um, have you experienced an amount of appeals, financial appeals from families? I was just helping one of our students. Right now, currencies in Latin America, some currencies have depreciated up to 30%. So within 2 months, the international crew and domestic crew. Hello,
Yeah, I would
did you hear my
say that
question? Okay, good.
we're definitely seeing. Yep, I heard it. Yeah,
Okay,
I mean,
thank you.
I've been hearing a lot from Brazil. I've been
Okay,
hearing it about from India and things like that. I think one of the best things for us here at Rollins, we're one of the few schools that provides international financial aid. So that's been very helpful. So definitely some
okay,
students, uh, their financials, when they filled out their international financial aid application, things were a little bit different. So we can definitely take those cases back to our financial aid office and see if we could do something, because we completely
okay.
understand the situation for sure.
Okay. For those of you watching right now, just turning in, we are with Ed Bustos from Rollins College, top liberal arts here in the state of Florida, just 3 hours from Boca Raton. So, Ed, what
I
have you
see
heard
one of my
about this?
alums there from India just joined.
Oh, hola, hello there. How are you? Thank you for joining us. Ed, Disney, what have you heard about Disney?
Yeah, so Disney, that's going to be interesting how they're going to open up, and especially for our students. Our students go there and Universal Studios. So one of the things that we have, and they have, Disney has announced, there's Disney Springs,
Okay.
And they will actually be opening on May 20th. And Disney
Okay.
Springs a lot of shops and restaurants.
Okay.
So I think, and obviously I can see why they want to try to keep the economy moving and so forth. So Disney Springs will obviously be opening on May 20th. Obviously, they'll have to practice that social distancing and maybe wear masks and some things like that. So we just have to keep an eye on it for sure. But I hope that they can open up. That's a big. I mean, that's almost like maybe 70,000 employees that work at
Wow.
Disney. So we
Wow.
definitely want Disney to open up in the near future, but obviously they want to also think about the safety of their
Yes.
guests, which is
Yes,
very important.
absolutely. We have a lot of colleagues, international recruiters watching from colleges and universities right now. And I'll be asking this question to everyone, but what's the future of international recruitment right now with borders being closed? What are you thinking? What are you brainstorming right now? How are you going to be recruiting this fall?
Yeah, I think that's going to be very interesting, and I'm glad that Rollins has been traveling since probably even before I got there in 2002. So I feel like
Hmm.
we do have a good name out there. I think one of the things that we're going to also have to depend is on our current students, especially probably the sophomores and the rising and the incoming freshman class, so they can spread
Hmm.
their experience. Because I think that's going
Yes.
to be super important, especially if we can't travel. I think for me, I would. I want to make sure if the college allows me to travel, I just want to make sure it's safe because I don't want to catch something and bring it back to
Yes.
campus because we know
Yes.
on a campus things could, like I remember you catch a cold and then everyone has a cold, you know.
Yes.
So I just
Yes.
want to definitely be super safe. We're going to be probably doing a lot of virtual high school visits. So
Hmm.
I would love for you to maybe have a high school counselor in the next couple of weeks to see what how they envision um, virtual school visit and things like. And you never know, Juan Camilo. There's probably going to be other schools that have never traveled out there, and they're like, "Well,
Yes.
I'm not traveling, but now I can do these virtual visits because everyone else is doing it."
Yes.
So it's going to be very interesting. I think the dynamics, because I think honestly, I think it's also going to change domestically as well, not just
Uh-huh.
international. I don't. I think some schools might not let staff travel even domestically. We might be able to just stay locally and maybe even visit high schools locally, but we don't even know if high schools are going to let us in. I know my last visit in Brazil, in Brasilia,
Sí.
I had a temperature check right before I walked into the high school. So
Wow.
that was already
Wow.
started before, and there was 14 of us or so, or 15 of us, and they did a temperature check right before we walked in.
Hmm. Yeah, well, to answer your question, next week we have Jennifer Tazo from Panama. She's going to be joining us for one of these live conversation. Panagringa will be here. So stay tuned. I will send that up for next week. So you will have your high school counselor. And we have a student this week from Colombia, actually, from a German school, who is going to be giving his perspective of as an international student, as a student that is doing his college search, what he's going through. So stay tuned for that one. I have a very important question for you. How is your family? Are they in Orlando? Are they in Colombia right now? Where are they?
So my parents are here in Central Florida. I live like a good Colombian. I would say I live 1 minute away by car by my parents. So my parents are really they're doing well. So thanks for asking. We today yesterday was Mother's Day, so I actually go every day and say hello, but like no hugs and just social distancing. My parents are a
Uh-huh.
little bit older, so I want to make
Yes.
sure I keep them as long as I can. So
Okay.
definitely practicing that social distancing when I go see them. But thanks for
Good.
asking.
Good.
And then my family in Colombia, everyone is healthy. I think Colombia, they're in a basically complete lockdown. I think yesterday only the females in Bogota could go out or something like that. So they've been very strict, which I'm kind of glad because sometimes I feel like if we can't handle the situation and here in the United States, we probably can't. Those countries in Latin America wouldn't be able to handle it either.
Okay. Well, here we have Beatriz Bleasher. Hola, Beatriz from the Rush. We have Evie from Elon. We have to have both of them here. And we have Patrick. Hey, Patrick. Good to see
Hey,
you here. Evie, she hates when I say she was my boss, but she was my boss, and she hired me when I was at Lynn University.
She changed your
And
life.
yeah, she changed my life, and thanks to Evie, I know you and so many wonderful colleagues in admissions. Um, Ed, one final thought. I promise the audience to keep these live videos short, 30, 35 minutes. We're going over time, so please send us a message.
Um, Everyone, just stay positive. We know uh, higher ed's going to survive. Higher ed is going to survive. I mean, some areas are tough, but truly believe in us. And look at different options. You know, I mean, I know it's nerve wracking right now, but look at different options. Schools are going to keep you safe. I think that's our number one priority. And we want to definitely educate you. And for Rollins, we want to educate you to become a global citizen and responsible leader. And so we're being responsible leaders to make sure that our campus is ready for our students, our current students and new students when we open up in the fall.
I totally agree with you, Ed. Education has survived storms, wars, all kinds of horrible things, but we need to stay together. This is what we're working as a community. This is what we're doing in life because we are all helping each other. And we need more leaders like you. I mean, you have won a couple amazing awards in education throughout your small business community. We need you. So you never retire. You're gonna grow old with me on this profession of education. But we want to thank you for your leadership. We want to thank Rollins for the space, and come back anytime. This is your space. For those of you watching, this live stays on Instagram for 24 hours, and then it goes into our YouTube channel, JCT for Education for you. Ed, muchas gracias. Te mando un abrazo gigante. Thank you so much.
Gracias, Juan
Stay safe.
Camilo. Saludos,
Gracias.